Your sense of what Jerome Powell said yesterday on the economy?
Yeah, look, I think yesterday was a very interesting day. The chair admitted he's got a problem. He's in a conundrum. He's got a two-factor model. Factor number one is stable prices, which is basically a goal of 2% inflation. He's not achieving that. He's higher than 2% inflation. On the other hand, he's got a factor two, which is full employment. He sees very clearly that the employment market is softening. The data has come in very soft. We're seeing 50,000, 25,000 new jobs created each month. So the chairman's sitting there going, look, I'm trying to balance these two parts of the equation. Which one matters to me more today, knowing that if I fix one, I may affect the other. And he sort of admitted that yesterday. So he pivoted yesterday and said, I'm going to deal with the employment problem in the United States. We're going to cut interest rates by 25 basis points. We're going to sort of dip our toe in the water. He actually called it a risk management exercise.
It's clever. That's what stuck that in there. Yeah.
Risk management exercise. We're going to cut 25 basis points, and we're going to see if we can help job growth in this country, knowing that cutting interest rates is stimulative to the inflationary side of the economy. So he's in there admitting he's got this problem, he's got this conundrum. His committee as a whole, he's got a committee that votes as a whole, really had a pretty interesting divergence of where they think interest rates are going and where they are. You literally had one person on the committee that, even though it seems like they voted for this cut, in their projection of where they think interest rates would be, they did not have this cut in their projection. Then you had 6 more that said, we don't need any more cuts for the rest of the year. Then you had 9 that said, we need 2 cuts for the rest of the year. Yeah. So even just looking out between now and year end, the chair's got to balance a committee that understands they're trying to deal with this two-factor model. It does look like we have started a rate cutting path, but it seems like it's going to be a slow, methodical path, and it's not a guaranteed path. So, if you look at where the dots plot out to the year end, it's about 3.6%, which is about 2 2/3 of a cut. So it looks like one more is baked in for sure, and maybe 2.
Every time the Fed chair mentioned the labor market, I'm like, wow, the jobs market's going to stink. It's going to get worse. But does that reinforce the point we've heard from President Trump that this is too late, Jay?
I don't know if it's too late, Jay. The job market has clearly been softening over the last few months. On the other hand, the inflation numbers have not come down as fast as the chair would want. Now they've come down, but they're still stuck, core's still stuck around 3%, 2.9%, and his target is to get it to 2%. So look, you can criticize any part of this whole equation you want. You can criticize that the chair is late because the job market has gotten soft. You could criticize because he's being too aggressive because inflation's too high. Like I said, it's a two-factor model he's trying to balance out.
You will not hear Powell say this, but did he bend to pressure from the administration?
I don't think so. At the end of the day, I don't think he bent. In fact, if you look at the committee, there was one dissenting vote. The entire committee.
Stephen Myron.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. New guy.
Yeah, the new guy. The entire committee voted for this cut, and there was one dissenter. It's funny, in the meeting prior to this, there were more dissenters than there were in this meeting. So it actually looks like the chair has brought the committee together, is more cohesive. They've got a methodical plan that they're on right now of this slow but steady potential cutting cycle.
How worried are you that we do see a deeper economic downturn at the same time the Fed is cutting rates?
There's always the potential of a deep economic downturn. That's part of the economy. We have events that we don't see coming, and we always get caught off guard because we don't see them coming. So, we have these quote-unquote black swan events. If they were white swans, we'd know they were coming. Yeah. So look, we're always worried about events like that, and usually there's some cause that happens, some exogenous event that happens. As I sit here today, I don't see anything. But I would have given that same answer a month before a couple major financial crises, that the world looks good today, I don't see anything. And after these events happen, they look pretty obvious. To me right now, we're in an environment where the equity market's at record highs, credit spreads are all-time tights. Look, the dollar's weakening pretty considerably, but nothing looks too out of line right now.
You're a plugged-in guy. Do you think we get a Fed chair announcement before year end, and who do you think gets this job?
Oh, I have no idea when it gets announced. I really don't.
Is there someone you think that would be best suited to get this job?
No, look, I think the president has a good list of candidates. There's some people in there that are very, very qualified, very highly qualified, and I think we'd be lucky to have them.
Of course, we were talking about a little bit about tech off camera. This is an interesting time to tech. We saw the NVIDIA Intel news. Is this a good thing to see these tie-ups like this?
Well, there's some good in this, always. Look, the United States, as we know, has to become a chip manufacturer. We cannot be dependent on the rest of the world for chips. Look, we came out of COVID understanding the supply chain better than we ever did before. We understood that without chips being imported to the United States, our economy, our manufacturing economy, shut down. You literally could not buy most of the things that we want in this country. Even simple things as toasters today somehow have to have chips.
Well, you got to connect to your phone, Gary. I need to know when my toast is done.
I guess you have to hit your phone in bed to put the toast down in the morning.
Yes.
So you can do that. So look, we now are in an economy where everything we buy has a chip in it. We can't be beholden to the rest of the world. So to the extent that the federal government is getting involved in encouraging chip manufacturing in the United States, and this started in the last administration with the CHIPS Act, and we continue to press on this independence of vital necessity goods in this country, I do think is a good thing.
Do you view it as the administration picking winners and losers?
I hope the administration's not picking winners and losers. It's not their job to pick winners and losers. What it is the federal government's job is to protect the citizens, protect our safety, protect our well-being, and we know that chips are a vital part of protecting our country. You know, simple missiles today have 300 plus chips in them. So to be able to defend ourselves, to be able to build military equipment, we need to be in the chip manufacturing business here. So that I do applaud, that we understand the risk of not having chip manufacturing in the United States.
IBM investing just billions of dollars in AI and its own infrastructure. Where do you think we are in the AI CapEx build-out?
You know, look, it's the AI CapEx build is pretty transparent. There's an enormous amount of money being spent in data centers. These data centers will come on sort of over the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. You will continue to see more and more use of AI. What's going on right now is, you know, people are using AI, but they're using sort of independent software, independent programs to solve a specific AI problem.
Like an agent.
Yeah, like an agent. So
do my payroll.
Oh, do my payroll. Handle my HR. Read my documents. Help me with my tax return. Help me with my tax returns. Where I believe this is going, where IBM believes this is going to an enterprise-wide solution, where all of these AI programs, these AI facilities will work together. They'll be more coherently, more cohesively related, and they'll have a big infrastructure behind that. And look, that's going to lead us into a really interesting world as people get their data and databases in a more coherent place, and that's what it takes to make AI work. It's going to lead us into a quantum revolution. We think by the end of this decade, we're going to have quantum, be a major part of this equation.
Where can I get one of those toasters? IBM doesn't sell those, right?
No, they don't. But we probably wrote some of the software inside.
All right, well, that's true. Gary Cohn, good to see you. I'll see you at Davos, man.
I'll see you there.